Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. Today I'd like to follow up on a video that I did 1 week ago and talk about some updates from the company, because this company decided to release a blog post that in my opinion is really manipulative crisis management garbage. And as somebody who has experience with this as a result of dealing with politicians, dealing with lobbyists, having my own company and trying to do some decent PR for the right to repair movement, I have a little bit of an understanding of how to do this in an ethical way and how to do this in a manipulative piece of garbage way. And I believe that they went about it in the latter fashion. So what am I talking about here? Last week I did a video titled Adobe Roofies All of Their Customers. And the reason that I used that strong language and what I covered in this video was this updated terms of service that Adobe came out with. You may notice over here two things. A, that there is no opt-out or disagree button, and B, you cannot access your content until you agree. So what they're doing is they're changing the terms of service, they're changing the terms of the sale under duress, and they're not giving you any option to say no, which is why I call this a rapist mentality. The reason that I use that verbiage is something I go over in this video over here when Coalition for Safe and Secure Data, funded by General Motors, Ford, Toyota, Honda, and Nissan, spent $25 million trying to associate independent repair technicians and independent mechanics as being rapists who are going to sexually assault you, who are going to take your data and use it to stalk you. So I've tried to take that term that has been applied to us unfairly and slanderously, which these companies never faced any consequences for, and apply it to them. I've tried to take back some of that power of that word that was used on us by reflecting and mirroring it towards people who are actually stealing your data. AT&T has lobbied against right to repair, and they are the ones that have actually been selling user data and were only fined 0.02% of their net profit by our spineless garbage consumer protection agencies in the United States. And as you can see over here, the automakers that accused us of helping sexual assault rapists stalk their victims were actually selling this data willy-nilly to any Tom, Dick, and Harry that decided they want the data inside of your car. I highly suggest that you read this New York Times article as well as the FCC documentation that I will link to down below, because if you blindly trust a YouTuber, for the love of God, please do not blindly trust YouTubers, especially not me. Many people on this platform are more than willing to sell out your happiness, your mental health, your understanding in the world if it means they can get an additional $500 from BetterHelp, because when they lied to you to reinforce your pre-existing bias, their engagement rate went up 8%, which means that they're now able to renegotiate their sponsorship with the shit organization that's selling you garbage products and services and get a little bit more money. And even with people like me that have not had a sponsor on this channel for 12 years, sometimes I'm going to get stuff wrong. I'm a human being just like you, and as a result, I'm going to make mistakes. If I stop putting primary sources down below, don't trust me. And even when I do, read through all the primary sources, because in this video, you may notice I'm switching back and forth between a lot of different things and just kind of expecting that you're going to follow along. But I don't want you to get the idea that I expect you to trust me. I want you to apply the same standard to me that I'm asking you to apply to everybody else, even the people that are telling you what you want to hear. Always demand information, always demand primary sources, always demand proof, and if they can't provide it, stop listening to them, even if what they're saying supports the way that you see the world and your pre-existing biases. Let's revisit the part that aggravated people and also go over the crisis communications that Adobe did and why this crisis communications is manipulative garbage. So if we take a look over here, it says content means any text, info, communication, audio files, video files, electronic documents, images that you upload, import into, embed for use by, or create using the services and software, aka all of your shit. Not just what you create using the software, but also anything that you upload or import into it. So let's say that I've created a work of art and I consent for you to use it, but I do not consent for Adobe's machine learning algorithms to use it to make their stuff better and be able to learn off of it or make that art on their own. I have now apparently consented through you, because you consented to this terms and conditions under duress because they were holding you hostage if you wanted to get access to your software, because they are rapists that don't believe in having an opt-out or disagree button, because they are rapists that don't believe that you have the right to say no. It says that they can access, view, or listen to the content, that their automated systems may analyze your content, use techniques such as machine learning in order to improve their services and software and the user experience. This is what pissed people off. So it says over here, there is no ambiguity in our stance at Adobe, our commitment to our customers, and innovating responsibly in the space. We've never trained generative AI on customer content, taken ownership of a customer's work, or allowed access to customer content beyond legal requirements, nor are we considering any of these practices as part of the recent terms of use update. So we're going to go over it piece by piece, but I first want to give you a general overview of what it is they're doing. What they're doing here is they're trying to reassure and solidify trust without actually addressing the specifics of what pissed their customers off. They use broad, reassuring language, like no ambiguity in our stance, in an attempt to quash any of your concerns without without offering any concrete details. This is being done to distance Adobe from any past or future intentions of using customer content improperly, and they're doing this, in my opinion, to preemptively absolve themselves from responsibility. So what do I mean when I say broad, reassuring language? When they had a weak part in the beginning, they had to make up for it for a strong part at the end. Which part is the weak part? We've never trained generative AI on customer content. This is the part where they don't address your concern. Crisis communications is all about combining the weak part of a sentence with the strong part of the sentence and hoping that they will even out to be an average sentence. So the weak part is we've never trained generative AI on customer content, and the strong part of the sentence is there is no ambiguity in our stance. What they're trying to do is balance these two out. So there is no ambiguity in our stance is a really strong statement that they're hoping will make up for the weak part. We've never trained generative AI on customer content. The reason this is weak is because that was not the customer concern. Our problem is not that you didn't make a blog post saying what your intentions were. Our issue is that your contract, the thing that I'm signing, says that you have the right to do that. The second thing that makes this very weak is they're using different wording in an attempt to confuse you. And that is what crisis communication always tends to do. They tend to muddy the waters by using different wording. So what does the contract say? The contract says machine learning. What they're using is the term generative AI. We never said we're going to generative AI. Look, generative AI is not in the contract. What is generative AI? And what is machine learning? Machine learning is the umbrella. Generative AI is under the umbrella, similar to how repair is the umbrella and soldering is under the umbrella. Soldering is one of the things that you can do to repair something, and generative AI is simply one portion of machine learning. They are using different terms. If they said we never intended to use machine learning, we could say that that is a lie because their contract says they can. So they came up with a synonym in order to use that to confuse you. That's what crisis communications do. They use different words and they use weasel words. So they took the weak part and they combined it with the strong part. Let's read through the rest of this manipulative garbage. It says here, we recognize that trust must be earned. We are grateful for your feedback. We'll be connecting with many customers in the community this week to discuss our approach and changes, and are determined to be a trusted partner for creators in the era ahead. We will work tirelessly to make it so. Again, classic crisis management. We will work tirelessly. We are determined to be a trusted partner. These are all very strong statements, and they use those strong statements to compensate for the very weak argument that they're making. They're emphasizing ongoing dialogue, but nothing in this blog post points out specific actions or specific outcomes. There's no way for me to actually speak to the people writing this bullshit. It says trust must be earned and grateful for your feedback, but where's the contact button? How do I reach out to these two people to give them a piece of my mind? I can't. This language is all about shaping public perception. Everything here is about reassuring you of their good intentions without providing any substantive measures that they can actually take. The best part of this entire piece of shit is the outright lie, because outright lying is a part of crisis management. So it says over here, you always have the option to opt out of our desktop product improvement options. We will also separate and further limit the licenses required to products and emphasize the opt-out option. It says over here that I always have the option to opt out. Not sometimes, always. Where the fuck is the opt-out button, Scott? Dana? Disagree button? Opt out? No. Agree to the terms of service or don't get access to my software. This is why I call this a rapist mentality. In my opinion, Scott and Dana are acting with a rapist mentality. They are using force on you against your will to get something from you, and then they are lying about the fact that that is what they are doing. There is no opt-out button over here. There is no disagree button. There's no X that I can click to be able to get access to the software that I paid for. They want you to give them what they want. They'll hold you hostage if you don't do it, and then they'll lie about it later. And to be clear, I don't want you to be repulsed by this because it comes from Adobe. As much as you're welcome and free to hate Adobe for many reasons, I want you to dislike this because this is a manipulative style of communication. And I want you to recognize the small details in this so that you can recognize it anytime another company uses on you, especially when it's a company that you like. There was a study that I was going over, I actually cited for a college course recently, and it was going over how your cortisol rates can literally be heightened when you hear things that go against your belief system. And if you're listening to people talk about political views that go against the way you think or philosophical views that go against the way that you think. And I think it's really important to understand that we are all susceptible to these biases when your favorite YouTuber uses this kind of crisis communications on you. And not even going to drop names right here. Let's just say there are many popular YouTubers that have had to use this type of bullshit crisis communications on people. When you see your favorite hardware company or software company using this, when you see a politician that you like using this. Anytime they speak in this way, they're trying to manipulate you. They are trying to manufacture consent to bullshit. And above all, they're probably pulling the wool over your eyes on something. You said you never intended to use generative AI. Why the fuck does your contract say machine learning? You really think your users are that stupid that they don't know what the fucking synonym is? This synonym shit is something that I have a lot of experience with because I spent a few months of my life making a large mistake dating somebody where I had to argue the meaning of a definition of a word. She would say shit like modify is not the word change, and that these words meant completely different things. And then I would have to go to thesaurus.com and screenshot this and send it to her. Modify, verb, as in alter or change. What is generative AI if not a form of machine learning? You're telling me that you had no intent to do that when your contract says machine learning. Machine learning? Generative AI. It's under the umbrella. Don't assume that your customers are so fucking stupid that they don't know how to use a thesaurus. I remember saying throughout the few months in that relationship, I am not crazy. And Adobe's customers are not either. You're being gaslit. And when you're being gaslit, you need to understand and recognize it so you can date somebody else. I mean, so you don't use Adobe software. At this point, I've done both, and I've been very happy with it. But in all seriousness, they're calling you an idiot. They're calling you a fool. They think you're dumb enough to fall for this shit. And personally, I think more of my audience. I don't think that you're stupid enough to fall for this shit. I think you know how to use a dictionary. I think you know how to use a thesaurus. I think you know when you're being fucked with. And above all, I'm almost being condescending to you because let's be real. The people that watch this channel, you don't need me to tell you what crisis communications is to know that it's bullshit. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. And if I ever tell you I'm creating these videos with Adobe Premiere, please, for the love of God, unsubscribe from my channel. I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.